Motion is the process of something moving or changing place, or even just changing position. There are a lot of factors involved every time something moves. There are fewer factors involved if an object moves at the same speed in a straight line. However, most movement involves changing the speed of the movement and changing directions. Here is a list of terms that go hand in hand with learning about motion. Speed is how long it takes for an object to travel a certain distance. Its formula is distance divided by time, or d divided by t. A car's speed is often measured in how many miles it can travel in an hour. So the distance is miles and the time is hours. Distance divided by time equals miles divided by hour, or miles per hour, or mph. Velocity and speed are very close and often mixed up. They both measure d divided by t. Velocity adds an extra step. It measures distance over time or speed in a given direction. So, a car's speed could be 55 miles per hour, but its velocity would be 55 miles per hour in a northward direction. Acceleration is when any part of an object's velocity changes. If the object speeds up or travels over a given distance in a shorter amount of time, then there is acceleration. There can also be acceleration if an object changes direction. So, even if the car continues to travel at the speed of 55 miles per hour, but turns and heads in an eastward direction, it is still accelerating. Force is any type of push or pull. In order for an object to accelerate, it needs to have a force acted upon it. In other words, in order for an object to change speed or direction, it needs to be pushed or pulled. Mass is the amount of matter that something is. It is usually measured in grams. Sir Isaac Newton is the scientist whose ideas and laws have led to modern-day physics and the study of motion. Newton lived from 1643 to 1727. He was knighted for his ideas about motion, gravity, and more. During his study, he came up with 3 laws of motion. Newton's first law of motion is that an object will stay at rest or remain in uniform motion, constant velocity, unless acted upon by a force. Inertia is an object's resistance to move. Therefore, this law is often referred to as the law of inertia. Basically, this explains that if an object is traveling at a constant speed in the same direction, it will continue to move at the same speed in the same direction unless it is pushed or pulled by something. This law is easier to think about if you pretend gravity does not exist. Picture rolling a marble in a gravity-free environment. The marble will continue to roll unless something either pushes it or pulls it, and either slows it down, speeds it up, or changes its direction of travel. Newton's second law of motion is that the force acting on an object is directly related to the acceleration and mass of the object to which the force is being applied. It is summed up in the equation F equals ma, or the net force equals mass of the object times the acceleration of the object. The second law shows that the amount of force needed to place an object in motion, or to make it change positions, relates to its mass and acceleration of the object. This is probably why they named the SI unit for force a Newton. Newton's third law of motion says, when one object exerts a force on another object, the second object exerts a force of the same magnitude back on the first object in the opposite direction. This law is more clearly stated as, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. This law can be explained with every step you take. Every time you take a step, your foot is pushing, action 1, down on the ground. At the same time, the ground is pushing, action 2, up, opposite of down, on your foot, allowing for you to move. Motion is the act of moving or changing position. When studying motion, there are many factors to look at. The main factors of motion revolve around force, speed, velocity, acceleration, and an object's mass. Sir Isaac Newton made many observations and gave us 3 laws of motion to help us better understand how objects move. Newton's first law of motion is that an object will stay at rest or remain in uniform motion, constant velocity, unless acted upon by a force. Newton's second law of motion is that the force acting on an object is directly related to the acceleration and mass of the object to which the force is being applied. Newton's third law of motion says that when one object exerts a force on another object, the second object exerts a force of the same magnitude back on the first object in the opposite direction. This law is more clearly stated as, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction.